So now we've got a server taking a step back where we're using Express to have a pet server, a dog server, and a cat server. And the pet server is abstracting the calls out to dog and cat, so we can basically defer the logic. Each of those is hitting a Mongo database to get their data, and then we put the cache Redis up at the pet server so that we can cache the data calls. We talked about this briefly, we could have put the cache, the Redis, at the dog or cat server level. Because right now, if I'm correct, while this guy's fast, the pet server is fast because it's caching for 10 seconds. If you went to dog, it's always going to be slow. Because we put that artificial weight in there. So I guess that's where you have to decide where do you want to be caching things.
And you can cache both. So if your dog server or whatever your back-end server, if you can find some caching optimizations, you can add it in there. But remember, you want to design your system to not need cache. Cache is like an enhancement. Cache is not a design.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, usually if you're using a cache, it's because you have a problem somewhere else, right? So it's a duct tape over it. Not always, but if your back-end system literally is going to take 10 seconds to get a list of dogs like this, and you've got a problem. Let's go attack the back-end system. Because now you've got caching. And the caching you did, great. Now you did a 10-second expiration. Is that really what we want to do, though? I mean, or do we want it to sync? Like you said, maybe have your data sync upward towards it. And then every HTTP call, you probably don't want 10 seconds in every call. Some of them might have to live longer, like a list of states. You might want to cache that, you know, for a lot longer. But, you know, maybe getting, I don't know, any other information you got, like product inventories. You don't want to cache that at all, maybe.
So one instance I ran, I don't know if I'm going to violate any license agreements with Google, but when you use Google Maps, like the geolocation. So you can, when you're going out and hitting their service, I mean, I don't need to go out to Google and figure out what the geolocation is for a certain state like Orlando if I want to know where it is. I mean, and that's something that's very...
That's not a state, by the way.
Orlando, Florida. It could be its own state, like Buena Vista. But so if you have some sort of website that's saying, hey, I notice you're in Orlando and I want to use your location, and then you want to actually get some geo coordinates for where they are, like whatever state they're in, right? So you have tons of people coming from Orlando. You don't want to have to go hit Google service every time, one, because it's costly to go out to the service, like time-wise, but you also pay for how many hits you go to their service. And I can't remember what their contract is. I think you can store it, but you can only serve for a certain amount of time.
If you keep hitting the website, you're not moving that fast, right? So you're still in that same geolocation.
And so, but more so like other people. Like there's going to be maybe you have 1,000 users from Orlando, right? Or a lot of people coming from one specific region. I mean, you know, just keep that in this. And I think the way they do it is it has to be temporal. So Redis is a good solution for that, right? I have to reread their license agreement, but like you could store it in Redis temporarily, but you can't keep it there for a certain amount of time.
Well, the point is, anytime you have data that you do want to cache, this is a great use case for that, to use Redis. And I assume you can, Redis, like I mentioned, you can put it in Azure, I know that. I'm sure AWS must have options for Redis as well. And you can probably Dockerize that.
Oh yeah, Docker is the best because you don't have to download anything, it comes pre-configured, set up a volume container. Or some people are against Dockerizing Mongo in that sense where when you emulate or when you're in a container, you're one layer removed. So if you have a lot of processing, some people think you should put databases on bare metal, but depends on your situation, you know. It's a lot.
But for Redis, I think it makes more sense, less controversial at least. And you could obviously use Docker for the node layers that you created too.